You know, each year the Alabama House Republican Caucus announces its legislative agenda prior to the start of the regular season, and each of those agendas has had their own theme based on the bills that it contained. Well, today we continue that tradition with our 2016 legislative agenda entitled Right for Alabama. This year's agenda is broad-based. It focuses on important issues like job creation, protecting public schools from harm, demanding dignity that the unborn lives deserve, and also continues our fight against wrong-headed federal policies that erode our constitutionally protected gun rights and force the state to accept thousands of potentially dangerous, unchecked Syrian refugees. Creating the agenda is a collaborative process. We have a committee that was chaired very ably this year by Representative Donnie Chastain of Geneva, and also included Representatives Terry Collins, Danny Garrett, Barry Moore, Chris Sells, and Randall Shedd. The committee held 2 days of meetings where each caucus member was invited to come down and meet with the committee and share their ideas. And I would say that a majority of the members did come and do that. The committee then met and presented its recommended bills to the full caucus, which approved the agenda in our meeting last Monday. The bills in the Right for Alabama agenda will be a priority again this year, just as we've done in previous years, and we hope to pass them as quickly as possible in the session. On behalf of the caucus, I want to thank the chairman of the committee, Chairman Chastain, and his committee members. They did an outstanding job listening to members and their ideas and coming together with what we believe is an excellent agenda. Now, Majority Leader Hammond and Representative Chastain and I will now introduce the 2016 Alabama House Republican Caucus Right for Alabama legislative agenda. Rising to the top of every caucus discussion that we had was the state's general fund budget. That's not surprising. House Republicans are committed to forcing the state to live within its means and further streamlining the size and scope of state government. In order to bring a new level of scrutiny, transparency, and accountability to the appropriations process, House Republicans have committed to implementing a new zero-based budgeting system. This new process requires agencies to account for each and every dollar that they receive, helping to identify ineffective programs to eliminate, and potentially saving or redirecting substantial taxpayer dollars. Now, last year, we appropriated more than $946 million to the state's retirement system in the midst of one of the most difficult budget battles that I can remember in the legislature. The House Republican Caucus will continue its efforts to ensure the long-term solvency and fiscal health of the retirement systems of Alabama, while protecting and preserving the current level of benefits earned by existing retirees and current employees. Now, great strides have been made over the last 5 years to ensure that Alabama taxpayers are treated as fairly as possible, including the creation of an independent tribunal to handle taxpayer appeals. House Republicans believe that we can do more to ensure that there is a fair and equitable process for Alabama taxpayers. And we're proposing the Alabama Taxpayer Advocate Act to be sponsored by Representative Mark Tuggle of Tallapoosa County. Currently, the taxpayer advocate role is selected by the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue and must be filled by an employee within the Revenue Department. This bill will require that the advocate be appointed by the governor from a pool of candidates recommended by government officials and business professionals, and will also significantly expand their role and duties in protecting a taxpayer's interests. This is casting no stones on the Revenue Department, but it's just common sense that if you have an employee of the Revenue Department who works with the Revenue Department employees who have made a decision, it's going to be very difficult for them to differ with their colleagues and their boss. You know, there are nearly 400,000 small businesses in our state, and they put hundreds of thousands of Alabamians to work each and every day. In large part, small businesses are the lifeblood of the Alabama economy. House Republicans believe that Alabama small businesses should be rewarded for growing their businesses and creating new jobs. We've done a fantastic job with economic development, including last session, dealing with economic recruitment efforts, but we want to do something for the existing industries and the good corporate citizens that we already have. The Small Business Job Creation Tax Credit, sponsored by Representative Kyle South of Fayette, provides a $1,500 income tax credit to businesses with 75 employees or less for each qualified new full-time employee hired. Now, at this time, House Majority Leader Hammond will continue to outline our additional job creation and public safety efforts. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alabama has proudly been a right-to-work state for many years, more than 60 years. However, recent events at Volkswagen in Tennessee and Golden Dragon in Wilcox County have renewed attention to the issue, and the House Republicans are proposing Alabama's right-to-work constitutional amendment, sponsored by Representative Arnold Mooney, to enshrine our right-to-work status in the Alabama Constitution, to inform economic developers and businesses that Alabama is open for business. Recognizing the risks that exist and lacking confidence in the federal claims of thorough background checks, the Alabama Republican Caucus will oppose any Obama administration effort to relocate masses of Syrian or other Middle Eastern refugees to our state. The possibility of even one refugee with a questionable background slipping through the system poses a danger to our public safety that Alabamans should not be forced to endure. In addition, the Alabama House Republican Caucus pledges to assist members of our federal delegation in overturning Barack Obama's unconstitutional executive orders attacking our Second Amendment rights to own firearms, and will propose a resolution sponsored by Representative Philip Pettis, reiterating that message to them. Now, Representative Donnie Chastain will take you through the final proposals of our agenda. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Hammond and Speaker Hubbard, and let me just say that it was an honor to serve as the chair of our platform committee this year. We had an outstanding committee that put a lot of work into coming up with the agenda for this year. And the message that we kept hearing over and over as we went through our meetings in early December was, let's have a short, impactful agenda, and let's get the budgets. After 2 special sessions last year, I think everybody is ready to make sure that we do get to budgets quickly this year. So that's what we hope to accomplish by the agenda that we have. And I want to thank again our committee members for their work in helping craft a document that we believe truly addresses the needs, issues, and concerns that matter most to our fellow Alabamians. You know, the last thing that a parent wants to have to think about in the morning when they send their children to school, or when they drop their children off at school, is their safety at school. You know, Alabama schools have been extremely fortunate to avoid the violent situations that we have seen occur in other states. But we can do better, and we will do better. You know, there's a time that many of us are familiar with in going to school when we didn't have to worry about making sure that the school doors were locked, but unfortunately it's a different time that we live in today. And we have to make sure that our children, when they're in the school, our children and our teachers are in a safe environment. That's why the House Republican Caucus proposed the creation of a school security and student safety task force with a resolution that Representative Nathaniel Ledbetter will carry. The task force will be comprised of key education, law enforcement, mental health, and emergency management leaders from across the state, tasked with completing a comprehensive review of state laws, regulations, and protocols relating to security and student safety in our public K-12 schools, colleges, and universities. Once this task force has been created, they will have 1 year in which to do their work and come up with a comprehensive plan that they can bring back to the legislature as we begin our 2017 session, so that we can begin implementing those changes that are necessary for our school security and safety of our students. Further focusing on our schools and recognize the importance of our educators in preparing students for success in the classroom and beyond, the House Republicans will work to provide an Alabama K-12 and post-secondary education personnel pay raise this year. Without final projections, it is premature to discuss any amount at this time. However, I can tell you that for each 1% raise, it costs approximately $40 million in the Education Trust Fund. Another area that we want to focus on in education this year is technology. The broadband capability is needed across every sector of Alabama, but no place is more vital than the public school classroom. The Wired Plan, which is a bill that I will sponsor this year in the House, creates a framework for putting wireless broadband in K-12 public schools by providing funding that will allow each school to purchase and install wireless infrastructure. Schools that already have used local funds for the implementation of the infrastructure can also go through an application process through the State Department of Education, and if their application meets the standards that this plan calls for, then they can also receive local funding. This local funding can be used for infrastructure upgrades, equipment upgrades, and if their infrastructure meets the standards, then they can use this local funds for devices. This legislation will go a long way towards ensuring Alabama students are up to speed with the latest technologies required to be an active participant in the 21st century workforce. And the last bill on our House agenda has caught a lot of attention in the national media lately. Recent reports about outrageous acts by Planned Parenthood and its representatives have prompted public outcry about the organization and its practices. In order to ensure that these atrocities do not occur in Alabama, the House Republican Caucus proposes the Unborn Infants Dignity of Life Act, sponsored by Representative April Weaver, which bans any kind of sale of the body remains of deceased unborn infants and reaffirms the Caucus commitment to the dignity of the unborn life. This completes the Right to Alabama agenda for 2016. These bills will be pre-filed over the next few days, and we encourage you to look them up on Allison. We will discuss each of these bills more thoroughly as session begins and as these bills begin moving through the committee process. At this time, we would welcome a few questions on our Right for Alabama agenda.